Hello, it's Christy Gray, your newest hype girl and astrologer. Welcome to the Cosmic Hotline.
Hey Cosmic Hotties, welcome back to another episode as we explore what's happening in the cosmos together. I'm your host Christy, and if you've tuned into the last two episodes, you know the drill. I'm here to share with you insights into this week's stars. Every single concept I share is so related to the energy we're surrounded with. So I want you to know that even when I talk about personal development topics, whether it's manifestation, gratitude, values, worthiness, purpose, like anything we dive into, it's because there's entrenched themes in the cosmos right here and right now. But this week, not only am I going to take you through this week's stars, we've got a couple of key planets in retrograde. Mercury is currently in retrograde. Pluto is about to hit retrograde. We've also got an eclipse incoming, and you could say that it's probably a pivotal time to explore values, personal worth, and the combination of astrology and spirituality. But before we dive straight in, I wanted to take an opportunity to reintroduce myself. I've been a full-time stargazer, deciphering the stars for you, coming up to 5 years, which is so crazy how quickly that time has flown. If I'm not here on the Cosmic Hotline podcasting, you'll either find me writing or I'm normally reading clients' natal charts because I connect with people all around the world online. Plus, twice a week, I actually see guests in person at a health retreat here on the Gold Coast. And the Gold Coast is where I call home. I try to give away as much astrology for free as humanly possible. But right now, it's just me. I've got a really small team and my creative assistant, Molly. And so, if you're not getting the cosmic fix here, I'm Body and Soul's resident astrologer, which is where you'll find your monthly horoscopes. Plus, if you're looking for more insights that are different from what I share on the Cosmic Hotline, I do share a monthly dose of astro on a super popular Australian health podcast, which is called The Healthy Hustlers with the incredible Maddie. And of course, Instagram is where it's at. That's where I tend to hang out most, as I tend to prefer to share as much in the moment celestial events that I think we should all pay attention to. Okay, now let's move on to what's happening with this week's stars. So first up, as you probably know by now, the sun is still in Taurus, which means we're in Taurus season. If you want more juice on this, go back and listen to the last two episodes. I'm sure some of you out there will be ready for something new to dive into. What I do want to share with you though is this week, we are approaching a full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio. This is happening on May the 6th at 3:34 a.m. Australian time, and it's important to understand the astrological significance of this event. So, you might remember if you've dived into a previous episode with me that eclipses come in pairs. This is the second one in this pair we're navigating right now. So it's not like we just feel the potency around the time of eclipse. It's normally builds up to the first one. We feel the energy in between, and then that's going to trickle after this one too. A lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon. It casts a shadow on the moon and it causes it to temporarily darken, or sometimes it can appear reddish in color. I want you to think of this as a super potent full moon. You might remember from my previous episode when we talked about eclipses, we were talking about solar eclipses, and I shared, think of that one as a super potent new moon. Now, during a lunar eclipse, the Earth's atmosphere reflects or bends some of the sun's light onto the surface of the moon, which does give it that reddish hue. Now, in astrology, a lunar eclipse represents a time of release and letting go. It's definitely a time to release old patterns, habits that are no longer serving you, or beliefs that you're hanging on to that may not be something you need to carry anymore. This particular lunar eclipse this week is in the constellation of Scorpio. So it's got associations with transformation, power, and a deep psychological process. Now, Scorpio is known for its intensity and it has this ability to delve deep into the mysteries of life. I always say our Scorpio babes are like the best investigators. They get this really bad rap, like every constellation does, of like they're holding on to the past or they don't know how to let things go. But Scorpio has this intense need to feel. And that can even be overwhelming for them. They move through this like full spectrum of emotions. Now, with this lunar eclipse in Scorpio this week, we may find ourselves confronting our deepest fears and desires. It's definitely a time to embrace our shadow selves and confront the parts of ourselves that we may have been avoiding. I am all about the high vibrations around here, but this is always my caveat. You have to transform yourself from the inside out. If you do not go there, it makes it so much harder to change those beliefs, which impact your actions, which is also going to contribute to what results you get in life. Just make sure if you're doing any type of shadow work or you're doing any type of subconscious reprogramming that you're using the right tools, or you've got the right support in place to help you. Now, because this lunar eclipse also occurs during Taurus season, it is the most opportune time for exploring our values and our personal worth. It's all about releasing old patterns and embracing our shadow selves so that we can cultivate patience and persistence. Because guess what? They are the Taurus traits that lead to success. If you do want to do a bit of excavating, because I think the past holds clues, you can reflect back to what may have manifested during the last lunar eclipse in Scorpio. And that was on May the 16th, 2022. If you want to reflect on the last solar eclipse in Scorpio, you could reflect back around the 25th of October, 2022, and see if you can look for clues as to how you can learn from anything that was manifesting in your life that could contribute positively to where you're at right now. Now, I want you to know with this particular eclipse, the moon is going to start to apply the planet Uranus, and it's going to do this via an opposition. So just be really open this week to what the universe has in store for you. I want you to be surprised in a good way. Don't think anything bad is going to happen. Obviously, it's dependent on how you respond to change, but know everything is happening for you and not to you. If you have burning questions about your natal chart, horoscopes, or astrological events, well, I want you to know that the Cosmic Hotline is made for you. I have a segment where I answer your questions, and guess what? Nothing is off limits because I'm your astrologer and I'm here to help. Whether you have a general inquiry or a specific question about your stars, I want you to know I've got you covered. To submit your question, visit the show notes below and click on the link provided. Or you can send me a text at 04317 Venus. I can't wait to hear from you and provide you with a dose of astrological insight. Tune into the Cosmic Hotline every week for celestial wisdom and cosmic guidance. As the cosmic dance of the planets continues, we turn our attention to Pluto. Pluto is the planet of transformation, and it actually hits retrograde in Aquarius this week. Now, this celestial event marks a time of deep introspection and inner transformation. It's going to add extra potency into the mix, especially because Pluto rules Scorpio. It will invite us to confront our deepest fears, our desires, our vulnerabilities. Pluto, when it retrogrades, is a call to release the past, embrace our shadow selves, and how we step into our power. Now, I'm going to be a realist. I think we'll feel the intensity of this week, and obviously, depending on what signs and what aspects you have in your natal chart, especially for Capricorn and Aquarius signs, Capricorn for those higher degrees and Aquarius for those lower degrees. But what I would say is like Pluto in retrograde, it starts on the 2nd of May and it starts retrograding at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and it's not going to turn direct until the 11th of October. And when it does, it will turn direct at 27 degrees in Capricorn. So it's going to be happening for a really long time. What I would say though is that it's really important just to know to schedule time for self-inquiry and to keep working on yourself from an internal perspective. This ongoing process of inner transformation really is about how do we continue to let go of old patterns or habits that are no longer serving us, and how do we embrace new ways of being. Here's the good news. As we release the past, we may also experience a sense of empowerment and transformation. When that tends to happen, we feel more confident in ourselves and our abilities, and we're more able to take on challenges or pursue our goals. Now, as we navigate this transformative energy, it's important to keep in mind that Pluto retrograde is a time of deep inner work. I am the first one to say that that is not always easy or comfortable. One thing, though, I can say is by confronting our shadow selves and releasing the past, we do create more space for growth and evolution. This is a very energetically charged week. Try not to overcommit or overbook yourself or overextend yourself, just so that you've got some space for any emotions to arise. As we do move forward, we can look forward to Mercury going direct on May the 15th. But before that, we have Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which will be happening on May 2nd, conjuncting the Sun. I want you to know that this is powerful energy that can be harnessed to our advantage. Use this time to reflect on your values and priorities, and look for ways that you can stay grounded and focused on the present moment. I always like to check in if I'm looking too far into the future. What is right for me right now? That helps me to put things into perspective so I don't feel too overwhelmed with everything that's in front of me. And when you do that, it helps you to lay the foundation for a more grounded and centered approach to life. Because even as we navigate all of this transformative energy of Pluto, it's nice to have this cosmic collision on our side, anchoring our dreams, grounding us in reality so that we can take a practical approach to shining bright in our lives. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I want to say a huge thank you for tuning in. If you have a friend that could use a little stardust in their life, please send this episode their way. I'd love to know, what's your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Let me know. I'll be back next week with another weekly horoscope. Plus, how can you use astrology to positively impact your wellness and well-being? The reason we're diving into that is because Venus will be moving into the constellation of Cancer. So until next time, keep exploring the stars within and without, babes.